do not have any screen time before 18 months. We're not even exposing them to quality screen time. We're not giving them a good educational show.
There's another thing now. There's like these subliminal messages that they're putting into kids' YouTube shows.
He was in that TV like the world stopped. She didn't sleep, she didn't eat, she didn't go to the bathroom, she didn't do anything. She just stayed on her phone for 10 hours. This particular article that we went through, this one was great. The screen time and the speech delays, because this, on the first podcast, this was my really big topic.
Yeah.
The screen time.
Yeah.
So I was really happy that we got to read this article and go through this. And we come back to now that not only is screen time bad for development, we're going to deep dive into what kind of development. Starting with speech delay.
So there's been a recent study that was posted by the Journal of the American Medical Association Pediatrics Physician that reported that more screen time in 1-year-old children was associated with developmental delays in communication and problem solving at ages 2 through 4. And those delays were specifically found in fine motor skills and personal and social skills. It also correlated with communication delays. It shows that there's basically a dose response in delays, meaning that the more a toddler was exposed to screen time, the more likely they were to have a developmental delay.
So what I liked about this article the most is the fact that it talks about that we grew up on shows. But the shows that we grew up, Sesame Street, and there was another show that they mentioned here. Those were all educational shows. What the children are watching today are not educational shows. The screen time that we are giving to our children today, it's not the educational, developmentally appropriate show that, PBS would put out on Saturdays.
Right.
So it's important to distinguish between the kind of screen time.
Yeah.
Like I said before, screen time isn't necessarily like the root of all evil. I'm not saying that at all, because we use screen time in the classrooms when we're doing lessons. We're using screen time at home if we're giving the children a little break from whatever activities that they're engaged in. But it's just to choose the screen time wisely and not to do, hours of screen time.
Yeah.
And the other thing I liked about this article is that it actually says that do not have any screen time before 18 months, which is like a big thing.
Yeah.
Really big thing, because I think that's the time when children are really, really developing their gross motor skills, because that's when they're starting to crawl and walk.
Yeah.
They're developing their fine motor skills, because that's when they're grabbing things. They're starting to self-feed.
Yeah.
They're starting to use manipulatives, putting, little pegs together and doing all sorts of those things. And that's really when language comes out.
Yeah.
During that time, like between the, 1 year old and 2 years old, that's when language comes out. So if you can postpone exposing them to the screen time until they're 18 months, you can really, really, really tell where they're lacking in their development.
Right. And I think it was a different thing that I read. It was like a research done on the screen time that we have now. And with Sesame Street, it's more of a slow pace, less bright colors.
Yeah.
It's more like where you're able to follow along. And the shows that are being released now for children specifically are very colorful, very fast paced, where the frame is switching like every second. You're seeing something new, something new, something new. And it's a lot for their brain to process all of it. And so
that's what I said last
time.
That's what I said last time. We're just we're not even exposing to quality screen time. We're not giving them a good educational show. We're not giving them, I remember Baby Mozart. It's gone now, but when my son was born,
they have it on YouTube.
But they had like CDs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna really date myself. But they had like CDs, and I remember that like I would put on, when he was a baby, I would put on the Baby Mozart before naps or before bedtime. Like after I would bathe him, I would give him his bottle, and then I would put on this Baby Mozart. He was in that TV like the world stop insisting. And he was small.
Yeah.
He was like 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, because of the bright colors. It wasn't the music.
Yeah.
We were all like, oh my God, he's listening to Mozart.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not because of the music. It is because of those high blast colors.
Yeah.
And the constant change of the screen.
Yeah.
It was like, first it was like some blasts, and then it was like some dots, and then it was something dropping from the screen. And it was all set to music, and it was just like, oh wow, this is so cool.
Yeah.
But it was really not so cool.
Yeah.
Because it didn't allow for the brain to process the information. I don't think it was even processing the music.
Yeah. I definitely seen a change. Like, I took away screen time completely. Very rarely we'll put on like Lion King, the original, because that's my favorite movie too. And the amount of times he's watched Lion King, and he watches it like it's new every single time, it's crazy. But I've noticed a difference in my child specifically when he was getting, let's say, a couple of hours of screen time versus to no screen time. It's a tantrums are decreased. It's like a different child, and he's more like eye contact, like just in general more present versus just like sitting there and nobody else exists.
Right.
And it's like that, and he's 5, and still to this day, like if I put on a show that he likes to watch or like a preferred show, nobody else exists, just the show. And like you'll ask him something, everything is yes, just for you to leave him alone. So I do think that especially for children who are developmentally delayed, I think like if you can just cut it out. And it's hard because then you have to find activities that you have to supplement with, because now you have to watch your child and not the TV and babysitting, which is, and I get it, people need a break, and you need a mental break. So you're like, okay, what do I do? Put on the TV, especially for like younger children, because at 5 they're like kind of more or less self-sufficient. They'll find something to do.
Right.
But so I do get it, and I get like people have a long day at work. They're like, they come home, they're like, here's the iPad. But there's another thing now. There's like these subliminal messages that they're putting into kids' YouTube shows, where kids are then coming to their parents saying these crazy things.
Yes. Or they saw something.
And they saw, and there was like, I think it was like 2 years ago, where there was like this, it would be a kid's
The killer bear?
No, it wasn't a killer bear. It was like this weird character. It almost looked like from The Ring, the girl that comes out.
Oh, yeah.
It was like creepy looking. Yeah, to kill yourself. Yeah, and that's crazy because like, and we can't really censor YouTube, because like you put it on the kids' channel and they bypass.
We are going to be on YouTube.
Yes. So they can watch us. But no, and it's crazy. And that's why I was like, you know why? My son doesn't even know how to use the iPad. He doesn't know how to use his cell phone. I have a Dave and Ava app on my phone that sings songs. That's what he gets if we're out in a restaurant. And
so that's what my child is watching. She's watching Nursery Rhymes, which are, however minutes long, but it's one song. Where Nursery Rhymes, the wheels on the bus.
Yeah.
And it's all very long.
Yeah.
And it's not blasting with colors and ring images or whatever. There's a bus, there's animals on the bus, and somebody's singing in the background about the bus and the wheels, and it's counting. And those are the only things that I put on. I put on no YouTube for her as far as reels and these fast-paced moving images. And I don't really put cartoons on because she's too small. My other child, so we noticed a huge difference when we put a parent lock on her phone from the times how she's doing in school.
Yeah.
If her phone is open and she has all the access in the world to TikTok, YouTube, and all this stuff, she's on the phone. Like, we checked her time. It was something like 10 hours.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't sleep, she didn't eat, she didn't go to the bathroom, she didn't do anything. She just stayed on her phone for 10 hours. But when we put on the parental lock, then it's like whatever. She gets her hour a day and she's done, and then she's bored. She's got nothing to do. So she's reading, or she's doing math, or she's talking to her friends. We just, even when there's no parental lock on her phone, we don't see her.
Right.
It's like, come to dinner. I'm not hungry. Time for bed. I'm not sleepy.
Yeah.
It's constant. Just anything to get out of the routine, and to get out of doing something, just to go back